Hey YouTube, I'm sorry I've not made a video in a while. There's a few reasons for this. Firstly, primarily I've started a new course. I'm doing a Masters in Philosophy, and aside from the workload being very intense, it's also the fact that I don't really want to be stepping in any metaphysical waters that I'm unsure of at the moment. So, for a while at least, wherever possible, I think I'm going to avoid the subject of ontology and metaphysics, at least for the time being, and I'm going to talk about stuff that I'm slightly more comfortable with, which is obviously psychology and artificial intelligence, which my degree was about. So anyway, along those lines, I've been wondering whether to make a video and what to make one on for a while, but I got a message from one of my subscribers, Didake11. I believe he's subscribed to some other people that I also have video exchanges with, and he's asking me about what are my opinions on the creativity machine and neural networks in general. Now, the creativity machine, I have watched it a while ago, so forgive me if I'm not 100% accurate on this, but it's a particular type of neural network architecture, which I'll go into it in time. Right. Firstly, the whole subject of an artificial intelligence agent creating things that are original, having some aspect of creativity about them. Now, this is actually a traditional critique of AI. It's Lady Lovelace's objection. But fact of the matter is that aside from the creativity machine, there are other methods of making a machine come up with new and novel ways of doing things. Traditional approaches, of course, being a genetic algorithm, which in some respects they've been used to create new artwork. They've been used to create new types of antenna and new things in industry. Now, the very interesting thing about using an artificial intelligence network to do this is its ability to think outside the box, its ability to go beyond human expectations. An aerial that was made for, it's recently been used in NASA, for example. It was, they just came up with a genetic algorithm to do this. And actually what happened was all the electrical engineers were saying, oh no, this will never work, this reasons, this is what we know, blah blah blah. But because it was able to think outside the box and not go on sort of human-based reasoning, it came up with an aerial that was far greater efficiency and conductivity than had ever been made by humans. So I think that's a very important thing to remember. The creativity machine is not the only way that we have of coming up with artificial intelligence agents that do make creative and novel things. Okay, so the basic architecture of the creativity machine, if my memory serves me correctly, which it probably doesn't from what I know about memory, however, it's basically two different neural networks. Now, before I go too much into the architecture, for those of you that don't know, a neural network is a particular type of artificial system. Now, what makes a neural network better than a rule-governed traditional knowledge-based AI system is that it's not explicit. It's not like if this then do this sort of top-down approaches that we used to have. What makes it good is that it's a distributed system, much like our brain works. So therefore it's very good at picking up patterns, generalizing, and all these things that have been really difficult for AI to do in the past. So even though you could say that it's rule-driven, a particular node isn't responsible for a particular facet, and it's very hard, if not impossible, to say what's going on at each particular node because it's a distributed holistic system. So what happens is you feed data into this, you classify it, and the neural network learns. Depending on the approach, it can be much like a brain, or you can use some evolutionary method to train it. So it learns a particular set and it learns to classify it, looks out for regularities, patterns, it can pick up on fuzzy and ambiguous data, etc. So therefore it's got the general gist of what a song, let's use songs because in the creativity machine, or I think it's the imagination machine, they use songs and they train it a bunch of songs. So it's got the general idea of songiness, and it knows a few things about music. That's been trained into it. Now, what it then does is random perturbations, random noise is introduced into the system, just to make it slightly different from anything that has gone on before. So the connection weights between the two of the nodes are randomly just changed, just to give it that little bit of spontaneity about it. Then the second system checks the whole output. It looks at the whole song and it says either, no, that's far too similar to this other song that I know, or it says, no, there's too much noise into the system, that doesn't make any sense, no one will sort of understand it, it's meaningless. Or it lets it through, it says, actually, that's not far enough, that's, it's quite original, it's not too much like any other song, but at the same time it's not too far from what we know about music that it won't make any sense. So that's the general structure of the creativity or information machine. I forgot what it's called. But anyway, there's a few things that I want to do just to parallel this with what we know about neurology. Now, firstly, there's a criticism about artificial intelligence developed by Edelman, and he says that noise and creativity, noise and all this type of fuzzy classification is absent in AI, and that's what the brain works on. I don't think he knows enough about this type of systems to actually make that claim, to be honest, because just as the brain relies heavily on noise and random sort of perturbations in the neurological system to develop the neurology, to develop the particular neural pathways that fire, the information machine and neural networks generally do this. So I think that's a very good thing to keep in mind. It works on noise and generalizations, and they're central to both the brain and the imagination machine. So I think that's a very, very important thing to remember. Secondly, the relation between memory and creativity and imagination is something that's very, very important here as well. For example, when you imagine yourself on a beach, don't just take that in, actually imagine yourself on a beach. Now, Tulving did a study last year, published in New Scientist, and he actually showed how this might be possible, because parts of the brain that are involved in the episodic memory, your memories of specific episodes of your life, are also engaged when you try to imagine the future. So you do take particular aspects, particular schemata of what the past and particular episodes look like in order to imagine the future. In fact, one could argue that this is the role of memory. So another very important parallel there. Now, another thing that crops up is the fact that there's confabulation disorders. I did a particular video on confabulation before, where it seems like the imagination part's there, but the particular fact-checking part isn't there. So people would always try to justify things that they had no knowledge of, but just spontaneously justify things that they had no knowledge of, and that they couldn't have possibly had knowledge of. I suggest you check this out, because it ties into very much how this creativity imagination machine works, with a sort of impulsive creative nature, and then a fact checker that goes a little bit after that. Now, just something that I just want to wrap up with is, I think it really ties into memes and how memes work themselves. Like, you have a particular agent, the evolutionary algorithm, you have a particular agent that's accepting certain ideas, he's crossing them up, but he's not just crossing them up because in the process of neurology there are certain there are certain mutations that go on as it's passed from person to person. So I think this really ties into memes quite a lot, but obviously I'm a little bit like that. So this is just my video for Did Ache 11. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I've answered, or at least given my opinion on the subject generally. So yeah, I apologise to everyone else. I've not been making as many videos, but hopefully I will be making some in the next couple of weeks. So take it easy, guys. Peace.